What do we got?
We got a throwback. Eminem, Mockingbird, 13 years ago. Probably more than that, no?
I think it said 13 years ago. Yeah, 13 years ago.
Yeah, I know sometimes things may not always make sense to you right now. But hey, what Daddy always tell you, straighten up, little soldier. Stiffen up that upper lip. What you crying about? You got me. Haley, I know you miss your mom, and I know you miss your dad when I'm gone, but I'm trying to give you the life that I never had. I can see you sad, even when you smile, even when you laugh. I can see it in your eyes, deep inside you wanna cry, cause you're scared. I ain't there, Daddy's with you in your prayers. No more crying, wipe them tears. Daddy's here, no more nightmares. We gon' pull together through it, we gon' do it. Laney uncle's crazy, ain't he? Yeah, but he loves you, girl, and you better know it. We're all we got in this world, when it spins, when it swirls, when it whirls, when it twirls. Two little beautiful girls looking puzzled in a daze. I know it's confusing you. Daddy's always on the move, mama's always on the news. I try to keep you sheltered from it, but somehow it seems the harder that I try to do that, the more it backfires on me. All the things growing up as daddy that he had to see. Daddy don't want you to see, but you see just as much as he did. We did not plan it to be this way, your mother and me, but things have got so bad between us. I don't see us ever being together ever again, like we used to be when we was teenagers. But then of course everything always happens for a reason. I guess it was never meant to be, but it's just something we have no control over, and that's what destiny is. But no more worries, rest your head and go to sleep. Maybe one day we'll wake up and this'll all just be a dream. Now hush, little baby, don't you cry. Everything's gonna be alright. Stiffen that upper lip up, little lady. I told ya, Daddy's here to hold ya through the night. I know mommy's not here right now, and we don't know why. We feel how we feel inside. It may seem a little crazy, pretty baby, but I promise mama's gonna be alright. It's funny, I remember back one year when Daddy had no money. Mommy wrapped the Christmas presents up and stuck them under the tree and said some of them were from me, cause Daddy couldn't buy them. I'll never forget that Christmas. I sat up the whole night crying, cause Daddy felt like a bum. See, Daddy had a job, but his job was to keep the food on the table for you and Mom. And at the time, every house that we lived in either kept getting broken into and robbed or shot up on the block. And your mom was saving money for you in a jar, trying to start a piggy bank for you so you could go to college. Almost had $1,000 till someone broke in and stole it. And I know it hurt so bad it broke your mama's heart, and it seemed like everything was just starting to fall apart. Mom and Dad was arguing a lot, so Mama moved back on the Chalmers in a flat, one-bedroom apartment, and Dad moved back to the other side of 8 Mile on Novara. And that's when Daddy went to California with his CD and met Dr. Dre, and flew you and Mama out to see me. But Daddy had to work, you and Mama had to leave me. Then you started seeing Daddy on the TV, and Mama didn't like it, and you and Laney were too young to understand it. Papa was a Rolling Stone, Mama developed a habit, and it all happened too fast for either one of us to grab it. I'm just sorry you were there and had to witness it firsthand, cause all I ever wanted to do was just make you proud. Now I'm sitting in this empty house, just reminiscing, looking at your baby pictures. It just trips me out to see how much you both have grown. It's almost like your sisters now. Wow, I guess you pretty much are, and Daddy's still here. Laney, I'm talking to you too. Daddy's still here. I like the sound of that chair. It's got a ring to it, don't it? Shh, Mama's only gone for the moment. Now hush, little baby, don't you cry. Everything's gonna be alright. Stiffen that upper lip up, little lady. I told ya, Daddy's here to hold ya through the night. I know Mommy's not here right now, and we don't know why. We feel how we feel inside. It may seem a little crazy, pretty baby, but I promise Mama's gonna be alright. And if you ask me to, Daddy's gonna buy you a Mockingbird. I'ma give you the world. I'ma buy a diamond ring for you. I'ma sing for you. I'll do anything for you to see you smile. And if the Mockingbird don't sing and that ring don't shine, I'ma break that birdie's neck. I go back to the jeweler who sold it to you and make him meet every carat. Don't f with that.
Damn.
Yeah, it's such an interesting story, especially when one parent finds such success, such a high level of success, right? Like he's literally like 1% of the 1%, like considered one of the best rappers of all time. And like his mom becomes an addict and she really struggles. It's like having two parents from the opposite sides of the spectrum, one being highly successful
Oh,
and
you
one,
talking about his mom or the wife? Or
no,
Kim?
him and Kim. And, like just imagining coming from that kind of household where, your father's like this highly successful, influential, popular person, and then the mom might have been demonized because, she's been arrested, had an addiction. And, I wonder if his success also made her a little more bitter as well. Because I could imagine like tints of envy and jealousy. Like if you're with someone, especially someone that you're no longer with, you have a kid with that person, that they're really successful. I think there's expectations of what that person should do and like how much you feel obligated to receive some of that success because you were helping that person before they became that, right? So I would imagine that and like he mentioned, like she bought Christmas presents and pretended like some of those presents were from him and put his name on it, which shows like she wanted him to be seen in this positive light as a positive dad. And I'm sure it was like somewhat reciprocal. Like we obviously don't know the whole story, but
Right.
it's just it's interesting to just think about that dichotomy between two parents.
Yeah, I thought this story was a story about the beginnings of him being famous and, all the struggles that he had to face, not what we saw, but at home, right? Like seeing all the raw footage and, having to share his time in the studio and whatever else is involved when you're trying to be a rapper, but also trying to be a dad. And, it's hard, right? Because, you want to be there for your kid, but at the same time, you also need to put money on the food on the table. And so you can hear the I guess like the sadness of, wanting like the best life for the kid. But there were some moments when it didn't seem like he was able to do that for them. And just hearing all of the details of the struggles of their relationship and how it impacted the whole house. It's a great music video. It was a great song. It still is a great song. It just gives me a different admiration for Eminem, and it's not easy, and it makes a lot of sense as to like why he doesn't really smile, right? Like I feel like he's gone through so much. Maybe he smiles off camera, but he just doesn't smile that much, and I think he's just gone through so much, and so it's always been like a grind for him. And I don't know, it's he's the GOAT.
Yeah, it really is a good story, and I agree with you. Like it's obviously a story of what he had to overcome. He had to overcome poverty, but even then, the struggles continued because like you mentioned, there was sacrifices he had to make to be successful, which was maybe not spending as much time with his kid as he would like because he was trying to ensure and secure his success. And so, like he mentioned, out being with Dr. Dre, performing and being in studios and, doing all these things to ensure that he's not going to go back to poverty. And I think a lot of times people have that fear, especially when they come from an impoverished state. They're like, I don't want to go back to that. So they're driven by this desperation and as well as this fear. And I think that's why his music's so good, because especially in the beginning, he was desperate to make it. And if you see that with athletes and fighters, the ones that are trying to enter and trying to get in and trying to solidify their spot, they go hard in the beginning, like really hard. And sometimes that diminishes. People aren't as hungry when they start to reach a certain level of success, but I don't think that was Eminem's issue. Like, he was hungry, and then through his career, he continued to just improve, in my view. And so, you know, his drive to me is one of the most aspiring qualities that he has as an artist. And I think that's why I grew up really liking him. And then also, it was kind of going against the grain during the time he was coming up because there wasn't a lot of white rappers. So I think that added an extra component of like, who is this guy? He's also not really accepted in the culture, kind of is, but not really. Yeah. And so there was a lot of critique that came with that as well. And it was interesting to kind of see that, you know, like I was fortunate to be in that era. Like we were fortunate to be in that era where we seen that upward mobility, that rise, right?
Yeah, and I've always been a huge fan of Eminem's softer side. To this day, Beautiful is still my favorite song from him. Toy Soldiers is also, I consider more on like the softer side because he kind of sings in it.
Yeah.
And his ability to, you know, write his lyrics in a way where it's so unique, articulate, witty, and just, you know, it's him. Like, he just has a distinct signature in the music that I've heard him either rap or sing, and his voice is like surprisingly good even when he sings. But you know, I think about his choice of Mockingbird for this song. And, you know, when you think of a mockingbird, it's a bird that mimics other birds singing. And so he does that in this song. He sings "Hush, Little Baby, Don't You Cry" to his daughter. And, you know, at the same time, one of the things about a mockingbird is they have a great voice themselves. So I think it's kind of cute that he chose Mockingbird as the song, because he's like the mockingbird.
Right.
And the song was so cute, and this is my first time actually seeing the video. I thought it was very brave of him to, you know, be extremely truthful in this song, you know, talking about his real feelings about him being a dad, but also trying to be the successful artist, and, you know, the in and out between Kim in jail and going through drugs. Like, it's not something that I think a lot of people would openly share with the world. You know, it's very vulnerable of him to do that, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah, he needs like to write a book, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Like about his life.
50 Cent's book was good. Like it's not solely about his life though. Like 50 Cent has a book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, and it read really well. But it incorporates like not just his come up, but like what he's navigated through as a businessman. And I think that's the part of Eminem I would like to see, like not just the rise, because I feel like you can't keep retelling the rising story, because I feel like 8 Mile was really good in depicting that. So I don't know if I'd want more of that. For me as a fan, I would want more of like, what was your life like when you made it up to this point? That's what I would like to see, the second stage. Like what was the transition like from your first moments of celebrity and what did you learn from that experience?
I want everything. I want his childhood. I want to kind of understand how he grew up in, like, where his love for rap start. And I think 8 Mile was great, but I also think 8 Mile was so condensed that it didn't have everything, So, yeah, he should write a book. And, like, the time that he met 50.
And then
And then